Lesson 3: How to Build Better Habits in 4 Simple Steps. Today, we delve into an essential chapter of James Clear's Atomic Habits: How to Build Better Habits in 4 Simple Steps. This chapter offers a pragmatic and insightful guide to understanding and forming habits that can transform our lives. It's based on the premise that habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Small changes can lead to significant results over time. The chapter begins with a fascinating historical experiment by psychologist Edward Thorndike, which laid the groundwork for our understanding of habit formation. Thorndike's work with cats in a puzzle box demonstrated how behaviors followed by satisfying outcomes tend to be repeated, while those producing unpleasant consequences are less likely to be repeated. This experiment reveals the essential nature of habits. They are behaviors repeated enough times to become automatic. Clear explains that our brain builds habits to reduce cognitive load and free up mental capacity for other tasks. This process begins with trial and error, where our brain decides how to respond to a new situation. Gradually, as we stumble upon solutions and rewards, our brain catalogs these events and begins to form habits. Habits then emerge as automatic responses that solve regular problems in our environment. The core of habit formation is understanding why your brain builds habits. A habit is essentially a mental shortcut learned from experience, a solution to a recurring problem. It's a way for the brain to conserve energy by making a behavior automatic, freeing up mental space for other tasks. Clear highlights that habits are not about limiting freedom, but creating it. By handling the fundamentals of life efficiently, we open up more space for creativity and new challenges. Furthermore, Clear delves into the connection between habits and identity. He emphasizes that every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Your habits reflect and shape your identity. Thus, changing your habits means changing the underlying beliefs about yourself. In essence, to modify your habits, you need to start believing new things about yourself. This chapter also discusses the 2-step process to changing your identity, where you first decide who you want to be, and then take small steps to reinforce that identity. Clear suggests that if you want to change your habits, you need to start with your identity and work your way out to your outcomes, not the other way around. The author provides an insightful look into the mechanics of habit formation and how they are intrinsically linked to our identity. It teaches us that habits are not just about achieving goals, but about becoming the person who can achieve those goals. As we dive deeper into this chapter, we'll explore the specific steps to build better habits and how to apply them effectively in our daily lives. The science of how habits work. The process of building a habit can be divided into 4 simple steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. Breaking it down into these fundamental parts can help us understand what a habit is, how it works, and how to improve it. First, there is the cue. The cue triggers your brain to initiate a behavior. It is a bit of information that predicts a reward. Our prehistoric ancestors were paying attention to cues that signaled the location of primary rewards like food, water, and sex. Today, we spend most of our time learning cues that predict secondary rewards like money and fame, power and status, praise and approval, love and friendship, or a sense of personal satisfaction. Of course, these pursuits also indirectly improve our odds of survival and reproduction, which is the deeper motive behind everything we do. Your mind is continuously analyzing your internal and external environment for hints of where rewards are located. Because the cue is the first indication that we're close to a reward, it naturally leads to a craving. Cravings are the second step, and they are the motivational force behind every habit. Without some level of motivation or desire, without craving a change, we have no reason to act. What you crave is not the habit itself, but the change in state it delivers. You do not crave smoking a cigarette, you crave the feeling of relief it provides. You are not motivated by brushing your teeth, but rather by the feeling of a clean mouth. You do not want to turn on the television, you want to be entertained. Every craving is linked to a desire to change your internal state. This is an important point that we will discuss in detail later. Cravings differ from person to person. In theory, any piece of information could trigger a craving, but in practice, people are not motivated by the same cues. For a gambler, the sound of slot machines can be a potent trigger that sparks an intense wave of desire. For someone who rarely gambles, the jingles and chimes of the casino are just background noise. Cues are meaningless until they are interpreted. The thoughts, feelings, and emotions of the observer are what transform a cue into a craving. The third step is the response. The response is the actual habit you perform, which can take the form of a thought or an action. Whether a response occurs depends on how motivated you are and how much friction is associated with the behavior. If a particular action requires more physical or mental effort than you are willing to expend, then you won't do it. Your response also depends on your ability. It sounds simple, but a habit can occur only if you are capable of doing it. If you want to dunk a basketball but can't jump high enough to reach the hoop, well, you're out of luck. Finally, the response delivers a reward. Rewards are the end goal of every habit. The cue is about noticing the reward. The craving is about wanting the reward. The response is about obtaining the reward. We chase rewards because they serve two purposes. 1, they satisfy us, and 2, they teach us. The first purpose of rewards is to satisfy your craving. Yes, rewards provide benefits on their own. Food and water deliver the energy you need to survive. Getting a promotion brings more money and respect. Getting in shape improves your health and your dating prospects. But the more immediate benefit is that rewards satisfy your craving to eat, to gain status, or win approval. At least for a moment, rewards deliver contentment and relief from craving. Second, rewards teach us which actions are worth remembering in the future. Your brain is a reward detector. As you go about your life, your sensory nervous system is continuously monitoring which actions satisfy your desires and deliver pleasure. Feelings of pleasure and disappointment are part of the feedback mechanism that helps your brain distinguish useful actions from useless ones. Rewards. Close the feedback loop and complete the habit cycle. If a behavior is insufficient in any of the 4 stages, it will not become a habit. Eliminate the cue, and your habit will never start. Reduce the craving, and you won't experience enough motivation to act. Make the behavior difficult, and you won't be able to do it. And if the reward fails to satisfy your desire, then you'll have no reason to do it again in the future. Without the first 3 steps, a behavior will not occur. Without all 4, a behavior will not be repeated. The habit loop. At the heart of habit formation is a 4-step process known as the habit loop: cue, craving, response, and reward. Clear explains that this loop forms a neurological feedback pattern that is active at every moment of our lives. It's an endless cycle where our brain constantly scans the environment, predicts outcomes, tries different responses, and learns from the results. This process is so fast and ingrained that we often aren't conscious of it. Clear divides this loop into 2 phases: the problem phase and the solution phase. The problem phase, encompassing the cue and the craving, is where we recognize the need for change. The solution phase, consisting of the response and the reward, is where the action occurs and the desired change is achieved. This simple yet profound understanding shows that all behavior is driven by the desire to solve a problem, either to achieve something pleasurable or to move away from pain. Clear provides everyday examples to illustrate this loop. An action as mundane as flipping a light switch when entering a dark room involves going through all 4 stages of the habit loop almost instantaneously. This shows how ingrained habits become in our daily lives, guiding our actions without our conscious awareness. The chapter then introduces the 4 laws of behavior change, a practical framework for creating good habits and eliminating bad ones. Each law correlates with one step of the habit loop and acts as a lever to influence behavior. When aligned correctly, these laws make forming good habits effortless and breaking bad habits simpler. Make it obvious. Cue. The more apparent the cues for your habits, the easier it is to stick to them. Make it attractive. Craving. If a habit is appealing, you're more likely to feel motivated to follow through. Make it easy. Response. The simpler and more accessible the habit, the higher the likelihood of consistent execution. Make it satisfying. Reward. If the habit provides a rewarding experience, it reinforces the behavior, making it more repeatable. These laws can be applied universally, regardless of the habit or the individual. They simplify the process of behavior change, making it accessible and manageable. Whether it's losing weight, saving money, learning a new skill, or breaking a bad habit, the 4 laws of behavior change provide a reliable roadmap. This chapter from Atomic Habits teaches us that our habits are deeply intertwined with the systems we operate in. By understanding and tweaking these systems through the 4 laws, we can create an environment where good habits flourish and bad habits fade. It's a powerful reminder that our daily actions and routines are not just random occurrences, but are deeply rooted in the neurological patterns we've developed over time. A habit, as Clear defines it, is a behavior that has been repeated enough times to become automatic. This automation is the brain's method of saving energy, making daily processes more efficient. It's this fundamental definition that paves the way for understanding the power and significance of habits in our lives. Now the chapter introduces us to the habit loop, an integral concept in habit formation. This loop consists of 4 crucial steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. Each step plays a vital role in creating and sustaining habits. The cue triggers the habit, the craving is what motivates us, the response is the actual habit we perform, and the reward is what the brain gets from the habit, which helps reinforce the habit loop. What's groundbreaking about Clear's approach is the simplicity with which he presents the habit formation process. He introduces the 4 laws of behavior change, which correspond to each step of the habit loop. These laws are practical tools that we can use to break down the process of forming or breaking habits. They are: make it obvious. This aligns with the cue. It's about making the triggers of our habits apparent to facilitate action. Make it attractive. This corresponds with the craving. The more appealing a habit is, the more likely we are to be consistent in pursuing it. Make it easy. Linked with the response, this law emphasizes reducing friction for performing the habit. Make it satisfying. Tied to the reward, it focuses on making the outcomes of our habits immediately gratifying to ensure their repetition. Clear's approach is not just about forming new habits, but also understanding and reshaping our existing patterns. This understanding allows us to see habits as not just isolated actions, but as components of an interconnected system, which can be modified to improve various aspects of our lives. The beauty of Clear's methodology lies in its applicability. Whether it's improving health, productivity, learning, or breaking a bad habit, these laws provide a framework adaptable to a wide array of goals and aspirations. Today's journey through Chapter 3 of Atomic Habits is more than just a lesson. It's a toolkit for life transformation. It invites us to reflect on our daily routines and identify where we can apply these laws to make meaningful changes. As we wrap up this chapter, remember that building better habits isn't just about achieving a goal. It's about creating a system for continuous improvement. So, what small change will you make today? How will you apply the 4 laws of behavior change to your life? If you found today's discussion insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more engaging content from Atomic Habits. Join us as we continue to unravel the secrets to building habits that lead to success.